Welcome Leeward CC and community members to our Gain Knowledge Build Relationships video series. The purpose of this series is to create a space where Leeward and UH system students, as well as our community members, can watch videos or talk stories that highlight a wide variety of topics, including campus system updates from administrators to personal stories from different individuals, as a way to build a safe community and gaining information that may be helpful to all different walks of life. We hope you enjoyed this series. Also, don't forget to click and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more future updates on the next videos. For our first episode of Gain Knowledge Build Relationship, Secretary Alex Williamson acknowledges the 20th anniversary of 9/11, a tragic event that rocked the USA to its core, by moderating a conversation with Veteran Resource Center counselor Leanne and one of Leeward CC's Veterans Robert, as well as a couple SJ members. We hope you sit back and enjoy the stories and heartfelt moments throughout this video.
Thank you folks for joining us today. We at Leeward Community College want to show our respects for all of our fallen soldiers, and we want to come together in commemoration of the terrorist attacks of 9/11. And this will be aired for our classmates and students on 9/11 on either our podcast platform or on YouTube. So we just wanted to sort of have something for folks to go to or listen to on 9/11 if they chose to, commemorate it or, pay homage to everything that happened that day, everything that happened result of that day, and that sort of stuff. So before we get started, if it's all right with you folks, or you know what, actually, excuse me, I'd like to introduce everybody first. So we have Leanne Egan, and she is in charge of the Veterans Office at Leeward Community College. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And we also have Robert Bullen. He was a former student at Leeward Community College, and he's also a veteran. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And again, I'm Alex. I'm the Secretary of Student Government. We also have Cayenne Torres, the President, and Jamie Reyes, the Treasurer. So thanks everybody for being here. And I believe our Waianaimoku Center, Leilani, will be here pretty soon. But before we get started, I just kind of wanted to, after this, I'm going to ask some questions just about you guys' service in general, but sort of to set the tone, I'm gonna share a little video, and we're about to have the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, if you will. And right now I'm gonna share a video of the 10-year mark at the World Trade Center Memorial, where Paul Simon did a little song. And yeah, I thought we could just start off the talk by listening to that. So we're just.
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, cause a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still in the sound of silence. In the restless dreams I walked alone, the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and the damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of sound. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs that voices never share. And no one dare disturb the sound of silence.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I just finished my class. We're waiting on.
Silence like a cancer growing. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach out to you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed its warning, and the words that it was forming. They said the words of the prophet are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whispered in the sound of silence.
Okay, everybody, thanks so much for watching that with all of us together and sort of just setting the tone for this 9/11 talk story that was obviously performed at the World Trade Center 10 years after the terrorist attacks on 9/11, and now in 2021 it is going to mark 20 years. So yeah, thanks, Leanne, for joining us. Sorry about not preliminary letting you know about the video, but we really appreciate that you're here today. And yeah, sort of how I wanted to start this conversation today, if we could, is just figuring out, you know, if anybody has any personal stories, or at least does anybody, I mean, I'm sure most people here remember, but let's go around and just say like where we were on 9/11 and like, you know, how did it change our day, that sort of thing. And we'll just popcorn around the room. You would start with Leilani, is it, just since we haven't heard from her yet, is that okay? Hey.
Sure. I apologize. I
No, you're
couldn't see
fine.
that video.
Oh,
I don't know why, but it did. Yes, that's
the
the
other,
reason why I was kind of lost.
it's okay. Did it work for others? Okay,
I
all
think
right.
it was just me.
I'll share it with you later. So do you
So,
remember where you were?
yes, I do. I remember I was like 18 years old and I was working at Long's, and I'm from YNI. YNI is very loud. It's a very loud place. There's never silence, ever. Well, that was the only day I experienced silence, complete silence. I remember going into work that day and getting the news and my heart dropped. Nobody talked in that whole store. There was not one person that had enough strength to talk. And even for us workers, we were crying. It was hard. It was the most hardest day for us because we knew it was babies, it was innocent people, and it hurt. I remember it hurting really bad But I explained to Alex that the next day, I've never experienced so much pride in our country. The next day we had flags and it went out. Everybody, people was enlisting into the army. It was amazing how much people went and did everything that they possibly could. Unfortunately, it took such a drastic disaster, but you know what? It proved that we are a strong country and we are able to come together as one. So that's what I experienced.
That's so appropriate that you said silence. I know you didn't get a chance to see the video, but it was Paul Simon performing "The Sound of Silence." So that's really poignant. Um, I'll just share from me, and then I'll popcorn to somebody else since I already am speaking. I was only 10 years old, I think, and I was living in South Carolina. That's where I was born. And yeah, I remember it was funny because the kids a year above us, they were showing them the news and things like that. But for us, I guess they thought maybe we were too young, but we were all figuring it out in the halls anyway. And I remember being so scared. They weren't sending us home, and I actually, like, you know, basically forced myself to be sick so my mom would pick me up. I was so scared, and had to spend the whole day with my mom. But Robert, do you tell us anything about your experience in 9/11? Do you remember where you were?
Absolutely. I had just got done with my fellow classmates. I was attending the United States Army Sergeants Majors Academy, and we were watching the news as we have to every day. And when we saw the first plane strike, the video of it, and then we saw the second plane strike, it was shock. And then our military training, because we were all senior soldiers at that time, we all just started getting ready, like, okay, we're going back to our units. We're going to go, we're going to find these people, and we're going to make them pay. But what they did was they gathered all us sergeants majors together and said, you folks are not going anywhere. You are here because you trained your subordinates to take over. And there was a feeling of helplessness, like, this is what I was trained for. I need to do that. But they said, no, you guys stay here, go through your schooling, and you'll join your units later. But on a side note to that, I had the opportunity to go to New York, where I'm originally from. And just 2 weeks ago, myself and my two sons, we went to Manhattan, and we went there to the Trade Center, and we got to look at the reflecting ponds like they showed in the video, and it was bittersweet. One, it reminded me of how this nation came together in such a time of crisis, but it also broke my heart to see the way this nation is acting as people. It's like it's, to me, it's worse than brothers and sisters fighting. This is us. This is the United States of America. And to see where we've come and what we've forgotten, we haven't learned the lessons yet. And it's just very sad for me to be there. Like I say, it was bittersweet memories to actually be there at the reflecting pools, such a solemn sight, and feeling sad for the lives lost and all the nonsense that's going on in our country today.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Robert. Yeah, it sounds like the experience was completely firsthand. So it's really important and interesting for all of our classmates to hear about that. So really appreciate that. Leanne, do you remember where you were during 9/11, 2001?
Yeah, I was actually, I was in I basically about graduated from my bachelor's from Manoa. It was so crazy that day because it's like I finished in the summer. So like I just literally just finished and I was like, oh my gosh, I was also a part of a reserve unit and I was part of Signal Company. And I was thinking to myself, am I going to be exiting pretty soon? Like, am I going on orders? It was a scary, scary time because I remember it was early morning. The kids were getting picked up from the bus stop right across my home. And all of a sudden I'm watching TV and I believe the second plane hit and I'm like in awe, like, oh my God, what is happening? And I think for myself, I was like, is this scaring our freedom? I mean, I think that's the part that what's scaring me the most, aside from like wondering if I have to exit out because I'm over here. I'm like a new person. I've only been in the military for so many years. And Robert smiles as he, but our funny story is that he's actually the one that signed me into the military. And I'm wondering, gosh, am I exiting out of here? You know, so it was a really scary time, and just threatening our freedoms and just all the changes that we've had to go through for 9/11, just traveling and just, you know, just absolutely like what all of you have said. At the same time, the next day was like proud to be an American. We need to protect our country. And it was it just absolutely scary and wonderful just knowing all the experiences that we've all gone through. I even had family member in New York who worked at the World Trade Center. He decided to stay home that day. Thank God our uncle is okay. But, you know, I mean, just for all of us, you know, to be touched by this entire experience was amazing. But thank you for giving us a moment to rethink, you know, how proud it is to be who we are together.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, that is the main purpose behind this discussion, I think, is, you know, just reminding everyone how unified we really are, in a time, like Robert said, where it's so hard to see that. But there are still lots of folks who are proud and, you know, stand proud together, and we all know what it's like when it's really bad, and you know, if we work together, we'll get through anything, as we've seen in history all throughout it. Okay, Jamie, I know you said you were only 2 during 9/11, but I am curious, have your parents like told you any experiences about it, or do you remember anything about it? So I figured I would
Yeah,
just
no,
let you
not
talk.
really.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to contribute much on this portion, but yeah, you know, we do always kind of watch those. I know they have a lot of like documentaries and things on the TV, you know, so that would be my thing, and then just kind of learning about it through there.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they teach a lot about it in school when you were
Yeah,
growing
I
up?
think they try to. Yeah, they sort of. You know, those generations, we don't really know anything about it. So it's mostly just like watching videos and hearing of people talk about it. So that way we can kind of, you know, understand what it is and how it affected everyone at that time.
Yeah. And what about you, Madam President Cayenne? Do you remember anything of that day? I don't quite know how old you were.
I think I was only like about to be like 4, so I don't remember much. But I do want to thank Robert and Leanne for your service. Before I speak any further, the most I remember is growing up. I still don't know how true this is, but I don't think my grandparents would lie about it. But my grandma and my grandpa stated that they were supposed to be on the plane to New York, but for some reason, like on one of those planes, I'm not sure if it was the first or second, because I think it's just sort of a topic that I don't want to talk to them about because it seems a little bit too heartfelt and in depth. But for some reason, their plane had gotten rescheduled, which was, I'm sure they're pissed about it at first, but it was definitely a blessing in disguise. And so they weren't on that flight. I don't have any memory other than being told about that. And then what I've learned in school, which I agree with Jamie that they do a great job trying to educate us, but I don't think that as much as they try to educate us and show us documentaries and stuff, that we'll ever understand how heartfelt and how life-changing that event was, because we didn't get to experience the same hurt that you all felt and witnessing what you were seeing on TV at that exact moment and the people around you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cayenne. Yeah, that kind of brings me to my next question, and I know Leanne hit it a little bit talking about the airplanes, but I'll just ask you first, Robert. What are some, you know, easy first off the top of your head? I know there's plenty, but what are some ways that your life personally changed after 9/11?
A lot of my friends, as soon as we graduated the academy, a lot of my friends didn't even get to go back to their base to see their family. They basically left in 2 weeks. They were going in country to the place that they're now leaving. Um, it made the job of being in the I can't speak for the other branches, but to be in the Army, it made the job a lot more serious, because this wasn't some Cold War leftover relic from World War II when I was stationed in Germany in the late 70s. It's the Cold War, the Russians. We had nothing against, I grew up in the shadow of the Cold War, but this was on my watch and my peers' watch, and it got real serious real fast. And we were glad that we weren't just sitting around thinking about what we would do. We were actually going out and executing what we were supposed to do and what we were trained to do, and to do it to the best of our ability.
That's a great answer. Thank you. I'm gonna ask both of you, but I'll ask Leanne first. I think it's a good time to ask what should people, in your opinion, remember about 9/11, to people like the generation under Jamie and Cayenne, who really aren't going to have too much recollection. Even their parents are going to have too much recollection of memory. What do you think they should remember? And we'll start with Leanne, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the biggest things, and I think I hit it a little earlier as well, and just to reemphasize, I think is really important. On that day, I mean, aside from the fear and all the feelings that come along with our threatened of freedom, right, is just to understand that we all need to participate in the process of democracy together. We need to protect our freedom. We need to protect what our country believes in. We need to protect ourselves. I mean, it's, that's why a lot of things are happening in all these different countries, and create allies. I mean, as soon as we found out what happened, I mean, I was getting calls from my sergeant saying, hey, we're going in. I mean, we were like gearing up our weapons. We were a tactical signal unit, and again, I'm Army, just like Robert. And we were already preparing. And not only that, I mean, we were getting security checks. We were getting checked left and right again, all of our security checks. I mean, it was a big deal. It was not just about preparation. I mean, everybody felt that. I mean, even just traveling out of country, right? Look at how it's changed all of our security systems, right? Everything that we do. And it's like, I think that we as people need to remember that we need to participate in this process together, right? It's to protect all of us together. So I think that really is, it's for myself. I mean, that's what I would want everybody, I hope all of us together decide that. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Do you have anything to follow that? What should people remember for the generations under generations going forward?
I don't think it's so much that we can teach them. I mean, I remember seeing things about Hitler invading Poland in school in the 1960s. I can remember learning about the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. So for the young folks out there, it's not, I guess what I would want you to take away from that is you're seeing a country today that is tearing itself apart, just tearing itself apart. And it shouldn't take something like 9/11 to bring everybody together. That's not what we're about. We shouldn't be tearing each other apart when we got everybody else wanting to tear us apart. Why do we have to have over 2,000 innocent lives taken before we say, hey, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, I don't care what color you are or what race you are or what gender you identify with. Why does it have to have something where innocent lives are lost before we get our stuff together and start acting like a nation that's proud of itself? It must be pretty good, because there's a heck of a lot more people wanting to come into this country than there is wanting to get out. So I just don't get, you young people, you're our future. My time is come and gone. I did what I thought was best for me and my country. I don't expect you to do the same thing, but I do expect you to carry the torch and find out what makes America so good. Yeah, we have problems, we have warts, we have different issues, but it shouldn't be tearing us apart the way it is. I mean, come on, that just opens us up for every other thing. And then it's just like a little tiny forest fire. Then it gets out of control. How do you put it out? What? It has to take a national emergency again? We should be smarter than that. And that's what I referred to in my first statement was we haven't even learned from history yet. We shouldn't have that kind of loss of life. And I'm sorry I'm rambling, but that's how I feel.
You are not rambling at all. Thank you so much. No, it's been exactly what the kind of conversation we needed to have. Again, that was Robert Bolin. If you're listening to us, he is a veteran and also a graduate of Leeward Community College. We're also speaking with the Veterans Counselor, Leanne Egan, and we're talking about 9/11. Just going to segue slightly, just since we're talking about Army and military service in general. Just have a couple questions for you about both of your service, and then I wanted to do a little moment of silence, if that's okay. So we'll start with you, Leanne. What inspired you to serve our country?
So I'm going to give you my fun answer. I wanted to go to school. I'm also a graduate from Leeward, and I was trying to find my way. I was young, 17 years old, and didn't know what to do. And I have to admit, going into the military gave me a lot of pride, a lot of camaraderie, and having the experience, honestly, of 9/11. I mean, even more so, I was proud to be in the military, and I was ready to say whatever it takes to secure our country and keep our freedom and take care of all of us. And I was happy. The time that I served in the military was absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for serving. And Robert, I'll ask you the same question. What inspired you to serve our country?
Leanne has heard the story before. I was second generation off the boat. My grandparents came from across the pond. I am of Polish, Ukrainian, and Irish descent. So second generation, there wasn't much out there. So I really wasn't, I was bored with school. So I figured, I'll go in the military, do something for a couple of years and figure out what I want to do. Well, I'm proud to say that I served 30 years active duty and retired, and still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to Leeward Community College, and how I was the one that wrote Leanne Egan into the Army. She's the one that enrolled me into Leeward Community College. So we both went full circle.
That is really, really cool to hear. I love the full circle aspect of that story. That's really neat. It's a pleasure having both of you today talking about this. We'll start with Leanne. Do you have any advice for anyone at Leeward who's interested in joining the military?
Yeah. Talk to other people and service members. You know, it's a wonderful experience, I have to admit. I mean, there's this great camaraderie, and I mean, not only that, there's, you know, it's things that you can do for your country. And there's a lot of things that we could do, you know, and this was my part, and I was proud to do it. Thank you.
I can definitely see the camaraderie just from seeing you two interact on Zoom. So that's pretty magical. And then what about you, Robert? Do you have any advice for any Leeward students interested in joining the military?
The only advice is to check out all the services and see which one works for you, whether you want to be full-time, if you want to be part-time in the reserve, or do you want to stay at home for the guard. And for those that are looking at, well, maybe let's try a social experiment, I will tell you, you will have a diversity of a plane of diversity that you will work with, especially in the military. They don't care where you come from, what socioeconomical background you are. If you can do the job, then you're on my team. If you can't do the job, I don't care what you are or aspire to be or what you think you are. If you can't cut the mustard, they are quick to let you know. Not everybody gets a participation trophy in the military. So you earn what you get and you get what you earn. So just what works for you. And if you want to throw a little smidging in there of like, oh, I want to serve my country, go for it. All right, go ahead. But there's other ways to do it. And I want to just caution Leeward students about one thing, and all students in general. Just because you want to join the military doesn't mean you can join the military. There are requirements, and sometimes you just don't meet the requirements, and I'll just leave it at that.
Great. Well, speaking of getting back what you're putting forth, or vice versa, can you tell us a little more about what you do, Leanne, with veterans and with the Office of Veterans at Leeward, and what kind of resources are there for students and students that are veterans?
Yes, thank you. So we have a Veterans Resource Center. It's located on the Pearl City campus. It's in BS 103. And what it is really is not only me who's in there, I'm the military and veterans counselor. I can help counsel you through your classes and help you with registration, just help you through the process, of course, everything for the onboarding. But we also have two other personnel in there. We have a VA representative from the vocational rehab offices. Her name is Selena Higa. We call it the VSOC program, or the Vet Success on Campus program. And then we also have a vital psychologist. She's from the VA as well, and she helps people. I mean, it's absolutely a free service for all of our veterans. If they wanted to get some telehealth help, we absolutely have that present. And there are ways they could email us, they can contact us. You can definitely find our information on our Leeward CC website. But even if you just don't know how to understand all of your benefits and use your benefits, please reach out to us. We can help guide you to the right spots, because there's other places that you can talk to in regards to benefits. And to top it all off, it's really funny. Sometimes we get even calls that are like, I need help trying to figure this out with the VA. We can help guide you to the right resources. So it's really nice to have a Veterans Resource Center on campus, because we also encompass about 10 to 12% of our student population are all benefit users and veterans. So we're all military connected. We're the largest in the community college in our UH system. So you please feel free to reach out to us if you need to. We're happy to help you and guide you and help you figure out how best to use your benefits through the VA. Thank you.
What a cool and important fact about, you said 12% of Leeward Community College are somehow affiliated with the military. That's really, really amazing. That's really awesome. Super great. It's been awesome having everybody today. Cayenne, Jamie, Leilani, do you have any questions for our guests before we go to our little moment of silence I have planned, and then we'll check back in after that, so if you can think about the questions if you want.
I did want to ask, just for sake of like maybe anyone wondering or listening, if Leanne, if you could share the information to the Veteran Resource Center and how they could get connected with you folks, just in case you were wondering while listening.
Sure, absolutely. So they could reach out to me or our Veterans Resource Center. So my contact information is Leanne at hawaii.edu. I have a fun email, my name. So it's LEEANNE at hawaii.edu. Our contact phone number for my direct line is 808-455-0274. For our Veterans Resource Center, I also have a line there and an email as well. It's lccvrc at hawaii.edu. And then our phone number is also 808-455-0410. And all lines get forwarded to me. So please feel free to leave messages, just because we're doing a lot of things virtually as well. And we'll definitely get back to you. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you folks so much. We're gonna check back in just a moment, but we're just gonna have a little military moment of silence for 9/11, and we'll start that right now. Okay, everybody. Again, this has been, this is the 20-year commemoration of 9/11, 2001, the terrorist attacks against this country, and we've been talking a story about it. We've been talking about what it means to serve this country. We've been talking about what it means to be unified, stand together, even if you're not serving this country, the power that we all have just as citizens, friends, and community members. So really appreciate you folks joining us. This is going to be played for all of our Leeward classmates where they can participate in the moment of silence if they choose. So this is really important. So really appreciate Leanne Egan and Robert Bolin and our treasurer Jamie Reyes and our president Kyan Torres and our Waianae Moku Senator Leilani Yahiku for being here. And does anyone have anything else to say, or we're just going to go about our days?
I want to say thank you. I really want to say thank you, Robert. What you, geez, man, that hit home, because I'm sure everybody's thinking that, but not everybody has. I'm sorry, call me from Waianae. Not everybody has to say what you said, and that's the damn truth. I'm glad you said that, and I honestly think it needs to be shared on social media, because it's about damn time people realize that we don't need another 9/11 for us to unify. Where have we gone? What happened? Why can't we get back to that? So thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, Leanne, for everything that you do. I appreciate you folks.
Yeah, she's so right. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for giving your time to be here. Actually, let's give a congratulations to Robert, because I don't know if this is your first time being a grandfather, but he just told me before that he just had a grandchild, like just a few hours ago? Your daughter gave birth?
Yes, she gave birth to Kailani. Mommy and baby are doing fine.
That's awesome.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I got to go pick up my other grandson, Kai Noah. So
cool.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. It was a privilege, and I was very humbled to be able to speak. I really appreciate it. And with that, I got to go.
Yeah. Well,
aloha,
thank you so
everybody.
Much. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And I hope everybody has a great day. And to those listening today on 9/11, thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Appreciate everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, folks.
Mahalo to everyone that watched our very first Gain Knowledge, Build Relationships episode. We hope you were inspired and motivated as you listen to the stories by our special guests. Mahalo to Leanne and Robert for those amazing stories, as well as the SG members that were in this video. We send our love to everyone that has been affected by 9/11. To continue watching for more videos, please follow us on our Instagram at Leeward SG and our YouTube page, Leeward SG. If you enjoyed this video and want to continue listening to the stories that were shared, be on the lookout for the Leeward CC Student Life podcast and find our Gain Knowledge, Build Relationships podcast series and episodes. Remember to stay safe, stay connected, and keep gaining knowledge. Ahui ho.